It's a pleasure to have you join us on today's edition of Africa Discuss. Well, we look at issues surrounding Africa, all for the aim of making sure that we have better governance in terms of what the government functionaries dish out to the people. And basically, today we're going to be taking a ride or taking a flight to Senegal, where elections was up yesterday, Sunday, and a whole lot has been done in that respect. And 18 million population of the Senegalese, and out of that, about 7.3% of that population was drawn into registration of voters. And of course, from that 7.3 million, a whole lot of 71% was featured in yesterday's election. Well, it was substantially peaceful, and looking at the main opposition party, that came with Faye, who is the candidate of PASTEF, and of course the rival who is of the ruling party, and the person of Amadouba also is dragging weight in terms of leading in the election. Faye actually has been seen to be leading in the election so far, and it's expected that over 50% of votes cast should be in favor of a candidate before he is declared a winner. Otherwise, there's going to be a runoff. And it has been in the news over, some of the candidates, pitch a tent with Faye and congratulating him that is leading with huge numbers in the election. But Amadouba, who is of the candidate of the ruling party, refused to accept that, saying that it's premature to be looking at determining results this time around. We expect that the bureaus will continue to turn in results from the various polling stations. About 15,633 polling stations were figured in this election. And of course, we also expect that a provisional result will be announced tomorrow. And basically, if there's going to be a runoff, we basically will know that that will feature later in the week. But before then, let's look at the outcome. Let's see how it has been like for a turbulent country that has experienced some political turbulence at the time of Macky Sall, who is the outgoing president, and a whole lot concerning the main opposition and the previous candidate, Sonko Osman, that was really edging out in terms of making sure that the people, go against anything that has to do with illegal, announcement of results. And majorly, his dependable ally in the candidates of Faye in the PASTEF party has brought a whole lot of victory, in terms of his campaign. And we just hope that it pans out in the results that will be announced shortly. Discussing this vital, sensitive topic with me is a convener of the Concerned Edo Citizens Forum, a public affairs analyst, and a human rights activist, Roy Oribabo. Thanks for joining me, Roy.
Thank you for having me.
Well, it's quite fantastic that we look at issues surrounding politics in Nigeria and also look at the spread of it in Africa, most especially as we take a visit to Senegal, where the election held yesterday. A lot of persons were thinking that, well, all of these elections that were postponed and the delayed outcome, but basically it came upon Senegal to choose who will succeed Macky Sall. What's your thoughts as regards the development so far in Senegal's polls?
Well, the build up to the elections, you agree with me, there have been a high level of intricacy, political maneuverings and manipulation, So that was basically some of the issues that also as a foundation to the election. You will agree with me that Senegal as a country, in terms of democracy, they have consolidated. They are doing well in Africa, and they're also doing well in sub-region. Therefore, in West Africa, I think we are very proud of them. South Africa, they have been able to nurture that democracy for a very long time. And it gets to a time where they are now the synosio of all eye in Africa. Until very just now, where the present
the outgoing president,
yes, Macky Sall. Macky Sall was trying to embark on a voyage of destruction to himself because he was trying to make himself available to be an object of a manipulation, you know, against the will of the people, you know. But the lessons I have now there is that the institutions in Senegal did not fail. You know, we saw in Senegal how the judiciary were able to look at the presidency and say, no, you can't do this.
Yeah.
Against, or even when the legislature was already on the side of the president, but the judiciary was able to take a stand.
Yeah.
That is, these are constitutional matters. You cannot just wake up and usurp and and take a position that does not belong to you. You were elected to be the president of this of the great Senegal. You cannot just now wake up and start dictating the dates. It is not by you. It's not based on you. To me, I was very happy and I was impressed. At least there is hope in Africa to see a judiciary can rise up against the manipulation of the incumbent president. To me, it's a lesson for all of us as in Nigeria. And we must critically examine the whole process. And that's the reason why, yours is early. As an international lobbyist, I also took my own concern about it and I started monitoring the election, because with the manipulation initially by the incumbent president,
yeah,
you know, he was thinking that he would be able to have his own.
The alleged manipulation, you mean?
Yes, the alleged. No, it was on when you start shifting goalposts when the football match is already on. You don't need to allege manipulation there. There's the spirit of manipulation already.
The evidence is there.
Yeah, the records are there. You can just, you know, that was what happened. Apart to that, he also have a candidate in the election, the former Prime Minister. Amadou Ba, you know. Well, he's also his own candidate. You understand me? Therefore, he invested so much in that candidate. Even after casting his vote, he was also planning to also say that he would not take the elections very seriously. The result. That is the incumbent president talking. To us, we said no. The election must go now. The people, the Senegalese are saying that we want to contest election. We want to have a credible election. This is a population. This is a population of about 18 million people. 7.3 million are registered to vote. And the issues that will determine this election is the issue of unemployment. Unemployment in Senegal is on top of the roof. And they are saying no. And that's the reason why they rally around against a very useful candidate, Faye. And you can see Faye at 44. As an opposition, is leading opposition. You also agree with me that this youth have been under incarceration since April 2003. He was arrested and detained. All these were all subject to the president who don't want to see opposition. After he had been trying to usurp, to manipulate the entire process, then any political opposition, he now killed them and arrested them. Until Faye was able to get his own freedom very just now. It was a few weeks ago that he was not released from the prison.
Yeah. Thank you.
And now he's facing the election. And the unique part is the youth are saying, the young people, they have about 70% representation in terms of the voting population. They are saying that we need a very youthful young man. We need somebody who will be there for us. Because the issue directly is affecting the youth. A very unique part of it is that this is a young man who is married to 2 wives. And those 2 wives, and you recall that in that country, they have been undergoing a process that men are now not even there for the women. Some of those ladies have also said that there have been in terms of matrimonial scarcity, if you permit me to use that word, that they don't enjoy. And when they see this young man with 2 wives, people are rallying around on it. These are some of the.
I think that's a political point.
It's a point. These are factors that are going to shape the election, and they have already said we are waiting tenaciously and patiently to see the outcome of the election. But
thank you so much. I must say I admire your beautiful narrative. It's always terrific.
Thank you.
And always awesome to have you join
in
conversations. Well, Africa happens to be a continent that is comprising developing polities, and we can't comparatively, have an analytical study of Africa with other continents because looking at the drag in terms of development. But one challenge here is that issues about getting it right in terms of the promises made, by aspirants before becoming candidates, and then even after becoming the winners of such elections, they seem to be far away from the people as regards what it should be. We can't but talk about the administration of President Macky Sall, the outgoing president, and all that transpired. Well, we're going to be digging deeper into this conversation, looking at issues about the qualification of these candidates. About 19 candidates were involved in the election, and looking at those who are technocrats, those who have been formerly tax inspectors, and those who have really done enough in terms of gathering pedigree for this post. And basically, we are sharing the thoughts that in Africa, when it comes to contesting elections, most especially the office of the presidency, qualifications is never in short supply. Well, with that, I say welcome to this other better half of the show. And while we had a break, we were opportune to be joined by a seasoned lecturer at University of Benin, Honorable Frank Amego. Thanks for coming.
Yeah,
Honorable.
thanks for having me.
Okay, we've been following reports. We've been following what has been going on in Senegal.
Yes.
What are your thoughts? Because it's a challenge that has been on, and the suppression, repression of political parties, most especially the main opposition, Sonko Osman, you know, who was also incarcerated with the candidate of PASTEF and the person of Faye, and we are released just a few days to the election and all that. And of course, the challenges of the outgoing president being tempted at a point to, you know, elongate the constitutional powers that is vested upon the terms of office in office as president. What are your thoughts in all of the developments in Senegal as the election votes are being counted?
Yes. One of the songwriters, Sonny Okosun of blessed memory, said Nigeria is now, Africa is now or never. So this is a reality of that song. And Senegal has been one of the stable democratic nations in Africa that everybody has been looking up to. And the outgoing president, it will be premature for him to say he's outgone, because the celebrations going on in Dakar, Senegal, will clearly tell us that the president is going to be former any moment from now. Come tomorrow, Tuesday, where all the results will be fully announced. But the way the results are going, it's clear that Faye is going to win. 17 of them contested. About 5 of them have congratulated him,
yes,
including the only female candidate, because one can easily extrapolate who the winner will be, though they are still counting. I think 5,633 polling units. They are not done counting yet.
Yeah.
But from the direction, it's obvious that a 44-year-old Faye will likely become the next president.
Okay, you don't suspect that there could be a runoff?
A runoff will only be if he can get up to 50%.
Above 50%?
Above 50%. So that's where the opposition is hanging on. That's a defeatist assessment, perspective that, okay, if he can't get up to 50 or above, there will be a runoff. The main match came, you lost out. You play the whole match, you lost out, you're saying, no, the away match will win them. It is not going to work out like that.
It's possible.
It's very unlikely. They came, somebody is fighting you, slams you on the ground, and he is on top of you, and you from the bottom, you say, come on, he will finish you. So the realization now is, let it be that the rupture takes it. There was a case of continuation, there's a case of rupture. The continuation has been the challenge Senegal has been having, to take for granted the humility they have displayed over the years. That's why the outgoing president tried having a third term. Election due for last month, dragged it to this month. And the place, Senegal, is well situated, and the population is not even much. About 18 million. And one can begin to calculate, out of the 18 million population, 7.3 million are eligible
to vote.
Yeah, it means there is voter party. Because you can't tell me that out of 18, 7 are 18 years and above. Are they all children in that country? No.
Even reports have it that about 60% of the youths.
And the youths are qualified to vote.
So which means that population is, in terms of registration, should have increased.
Should have increased. So that's the apathy I'm sensing. That nobody bothered again, like the way the country is going. More than 60% of the youth are unemployed, and they live below poverty line.
Okay, but the pity about it again is that even out of that 7.3 million that are registered, reports have it that 71% turned out to vote.
71%.
Yes, 71%.
Turned out, yes.
Is that not impressive from the capture of the registration?
That 71% is a clear demonstration of the way the country is being run. That they just needed the change, and that yesterday will mark the turning point for Senegal. I'm sure maybe if you have the PD, will have the clip now showing Dakar how they are celebrating already. It's a victory. The victory they are claiming.
Of the announcement of the final result.
Yes, we'll wait for that. But there's an initial result or preliminary result, and it's a victory for Senegal, not just for Faye. Faye just decided to come out as a person, like a case of who will bear the cat. He volunteered to bear the cat, and the cat has been bared. And the troublesome outgoing president will have to leave that stage. If they were doing well, that would have paved way for the sitting prime minister to, without thinking twice, floor Faye. He couldn't. So he's waiting for a runoff. That shows that he's going nowhere. So the democracy of that country, it cuts across all French colonized West Africa or African countries. They are having issues differently from the British colonized countries in Africa. I'm sure the style of colonization is what we have to look closely at. Maybe the way they colonized them is was making them begin to oppress themselves.
Okay, but there may be a radical change from that.
In the right direction.
Yes, because looking at what the Faye, factor is coming in with, if it proves to be the winner of the election, because they say it's not Uhuru yet until the last count is done, and of course it's not over yet until it is over. And basically looking at the friendly policies, investor-friendly policies of Macky Sall, some expected that, well, it would have been able to put an end to the hunger, unemployment rates of a huge number of the youths. But again, that was part of the, bad feelings that the people, the youths, had against the government, where they were not able to meet up with their aspirations. But do you see a radical change coming from this push in the election, if it happens that the main opposition wins the ticket?
Of course, if the main opposition, as it is today, if they have their way, they should be able to develop a workable direction for the country. You agree with me that the unemployment is on the increase, and over 60% of the youths, they are jobless.
But don't forget that talk is cheap.
Of course, that is the reason why I'm telling you.
We've seen manifestations of fine policies, but by the time they are now in governance, they do the other ones.
The time we find ourselves now is a critical time in the history of the world. Yeah. Therefore, if you want to be a leader, you must be a critical thinker. This is not time for you to just want to be in position for position's sake. You must have something to offer. Very just now, we saw what happened to the former Liberia guy, George Weah, who was very popular at the time. To the SM, people were worshiping him. They want him to be their president. When he came aboard, you see the kind of victory he gathered. He was able to gather. But he made an attempt to come for second tenure. Before the tenure ends, he became one of the most popular presidents in the world.
That's exactly
that the people now found out that this man was even a stranger. It was a stranger to integrity, was a stranger to transparency. It was a stranger to formulating policy that will help the people. At a time, he even abandoned them. He was busy in the US without even caring for the people in Liberia. And that's the reason why, at a time, for over a month, he abandoned them and go and stay in the US. Because he himself found out that he don't even have anything to offer. That is my fear about those things. If you are to also to take it out, you saw it very just how all of us rally around and President Muhammad Buhari in Nigeria. How all of us at the end of the day were all disappointed.
Exactly my thoughts.
Yes, that is the reason why.
And it's in the hope that this in Senegal shouldn't be the same way.
That's my fear. That's my fear also, because Africa as of today, world at large, you must be a critical thinker. You understand me? Look at the US, for example. Even as we are talking now, my very good friend is doing well in the primary. Despite people don't believe in him, Donald Trump. You understand me? People don't believe in him, but he's doing well in the primary. Whether you like it or not now, I'm very convinced. 96% convinced that he's going to pick the ticket of the Republican. Why? Because the man there now is the present president of the U.S. He's not doing anything. They don't see him. In that issue, now, we look at the U.S. as a world power.
Okay.
When they talk something, they implement it. Under his reign now, an average U.S. citizen is disappointed that the man is only doing.
Having said that,
that is the reason why I'm saying that this is a perilous time. That if you want to be a leader, it's not by the way you believe you can do. You must have something else. It's a radical departure from what we are used to. It's no longer told because now the world generally, they are undergoing a process. And if you cannot raise your level of thinking to formulate a direction for the country, you will be in process. And that's you'll be a problem. And that's the reason why I'm looking at the 44-year-old man, the fire of a guy.
The youth.
Yes, the youth, they are already running. He's starting. He have the support of the people. He was just be released from detention after serving almost a year. That is good. Married to 2 wives already, without being power. He's already controlling two wives.
You need to emphasize that.
No, I have to, because in Africa, once you have an opportunity, you have to join you marry more wives. That is what I've been happening over the years, and that is my fear about the man. And that's the reason why I was rooting. Initially, I was rooting for the female candidate. And Taungo. Yes. That was the lady, 40 years old. When I listened to her, I said, wow, when are we going to see this kind of character in Nigeria? Look at her submission, look at her presentation. I fell in love with the young girl. And I said, these are persons who can manage an African country. But I'm very, very unfortunate that he's not doing well in the election presently. As 2 hours ago, I read the report that he's already congratulating the fire of a guy, declaring support for him. To me, Africans must be thinking at this material time. We need to get it right at this level. Democracy in Senegal, as I say, it is the synonym of our eye. We emulate them. Until one man came on board to say he wants to destroy the entire process. And that is the reason why I keep on believing in institutions. There is no society that will work without strong institutions. What saved Senegal democracy? It is the strong institutions they have built over the years. It is not one superhuman being. And that is what is lacking in some parts of Africa. A critical example is Nigeria. We don't have it. We work in institutions. One man can override all the institutions in Nigeria. People's loyalty go to that man who's presiding over. But we saw it in Senegal, that people respect their country. The loyalty of the people belong to their country. They look at the president in the face and say, no. This is not what our constitution says. They did not employ any altar of intricacies. They did not formulate any policy that will undermine the country. They did not move for an alternative. They read it between the lines, as is being expressed in the constitution. And they read it, and the people, you see all of them, they were jubilating. And the commitment of the people also. There is also another lesson we should not forget in a hurry. That the average Senegalese were on the streets, very determined to tell the president and the incumbent president that you don't have the right to elongate your office. And the old people was defeated, the young people, and I was impressed. You can see the burning desire of the average Senegalese who say, this man cannot elongate the office with 1 second. That determination, that makes me to also say, Africa, we are going to get it right with the determination that was being demonstrated by the Senegalese. I hope Nigerians are also watching.
Okay.
We Nigerians should be able to demonstrate that. When you see the kind of movement, people are on the street, they are happy. Even against where people were being killed in the protest, you can see people were still happy because they believe that they were working for the benefit of the country. We want to see a country who people are loyal to their country, not to an individual.
Thank you very much, Roy. I think a whole lot has been said in that regard. But, well, let's look at a country, that has a population of 18 million. And, of course, a huge number of youths unemployed, and the need for a radical change to bring about this development, or to change the narrative for the youths. A whole lot is supposed to be happening properly in terms of the African politics, and they say democracy is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. But at the point when the people come together and say they need a change, and basically after voting for a party in power, and they are not getting that change, there seems to be some shift. And well, we're gonna see what the radical change could be bringing in Senegal. We expect results to still be churning in, and of course we expect a provisional announcement of the result tomorrow, just like as my analysts have said. Well, the Senegalese are deciding that, and yesterday they came out en masse from their 7.3 registered voters. Reports have it that they had about 71% poured out for that election. And looking at the candidates, looking at what is expected, in terms of a redirection, a radical redirection of policies in Senegal. What are your thoughts? Because some have said that it seems somehow different from what you say before you get to governance and what you really see while you are in government. We've had it in Nigeria a bit, and Senegal is also having theirs. Do you see like what we saw in the youths that we are really jubilating in the street in the lead of Faye, who is the candidate of PASTEF? But do you see a possibility of the African country, under the leadership, if it happens, of Faye, to meet up to that expectations for the people?
I believe that Faye will live up to expectation. The aspect my colleague here raised, Faye did not say he's a Christian. It's in Christianity, you say one man, one wife. From the practice of the Senegalese, a whole lot of them are Muslims. And they have the religious right to marry up to 4, as much as you can cope with. So that will not in any way affect his capacity.
Are you sure that will not bring an imbalance or a distraction?
No distraction. He's been living with the 2 wives.
What makes you not think that this could be one of the issues that we're having as a drag in Africa? Where you are supposed to have 100% concentration in implementing the policy of government in order to ameliorate the plight of your citizens.
Yes, I just
you seem to be engulfed by the problems of matrimony.
It can be.
Don't you think that could be one of the setbacks?
The only lady that contested, I was waiting for you to tell us her marital status. Maybe she has had several husbands, maybe, but that was not mentioned. Philip just reminded me of one kind of the calendar or so used to be sold around, whereby a man is drawn on his head an elephant, round about him all manners of animals that he has hunted and killed. Then he was not using his big toe to dig for a cricket.
How possible would that be?
Wait, there's a twist to it. And the painter of that work did not show to us that it was a problem. If he could carry the elephant on his head without a drop of sweat, means the man wasn't complaining. If the painter or the designer showed wrinkles on the man's face, sweat all over his body, you say he's greedy. But this man is having an elephant on his head, he's not complaining. So Faye is not saying to himself or to Okes to hear that having 2 wives will create a problem for him. And those 71% that came out also knew, as my colleague has known in Nigeria, that he has 2 wives. They didn't see it as a challenge because in their religion it's allowed. It's allowed. So that in any way does not affect negatively the capacity or capability of the young man. So,
but historically, there has been much celebrations. After the celebration, there seemed to be despondence at the level of the citizens, not really saying what or who they voted for, matching up to capacity. What makes you think this won't be a same roller coaster ride?
It can be. I'm not seeing it in that light. You mentioned George Weah. It came from a football pitch that it was already used to losing the game. If you lost this game, some other games you might likely win or there'll be a draw. So it was not really made for winning. It came from the field of play. But Faye is not from there. Faye has been part and parcel of the activities going on in Senegal. There was no crisis in Liberia that made the Liberians to beckon on George Weah to come and rescue or help them play the football of politics. That wasn't the case. So Faye, if given the opportunity, as the counts are on, it will deliver. Because for someone to come from the opposition party, he knows the responsibilities that he is going to face towards delivering the dividends of democracy on one hand, Then on the other hand, he will need to save himself from any shame that may arise from his misrule. So he is well ready. Okay. The people are behind him. He knows exactly the feelings of the people towards good governance. So it didn't come from the sky, or he's going to run to the US for one help or the other. Of course, if George Weah went to the US, did he anything to us in Nigeria? Don't we have our presidents running over there, giving instructions from whatever they are to us here in Nigeria? So Faye, if given this opportunity by the electorate, I'm sure, as it has been, Senegal will be the signature of a good democratic government in Africa.
Now let's look at what happened. Let's look at the tempo. Let's look at the peaceful pause. Let's look at the what we were expecting probably in Africa was that, well, they're going to be stealing of ballot boxes, you know, violence, killing, maiming of candidates and all that. But we seem to have this at its lowest ebb, or not even having it featured in the Senegalese polls. What do you think they are doing differently that is from that of Nigeria as the giant of Africa? Of
course, it's too early it's too early for we to draw a conclusion about the election in Senegal. The election in Senegal, it's a process.
But the election went peacefully yesterday.
No, I am talking from experience. We have seen results from different states in Nigeria. By the time they get to headquarters, it's a different entirely. Therefore, if I'm guided with that spirit, I can confidently tell you that it's too early for we to be drawing conclusion about the Senegalese election.
But it wasn't characterized by ballot.
No, they won't give you that. Those are elementary aspects of voting that we are discussing at the international level. If we were to reside in Dakar, one of the villages very close to Zaga, then you will not see that. You will know what they are talking about. We monitor this election at the level of international level. Therefore, you will not be thinking the youth thuggery and all those things will not be the issue. The issue now is that the process of collation of the results. You see people before official declaration of the result, people are already celebrating, because their mind is made up that their candidate have already is the candidate.
What about if that hope is dashed?
That is what I'm telling you. We have seen it in this part of the world. With the experience we have, I expect them not to be in a hurry to celebrate. Because the man who is managing the affair in Senegal, the Ikube president, he have notorious characteristics not to be reliable. And I'm also very happy that the ECDCs are also, they are equal to the task. But notwithstanding, they must follow this man with a high level of concentration. Because dancing on the street is immaterial to me until you follow it down. Let there be official declaration of result before the celebration. What they need to do now is to man this man with facts and figure, follow him bomber to bomber, as we usually say in Nigeria, so that they will not have an opportunity. A man who have made series of an attempt to want to usurp the will of the people, can still go to the electoral. And you agree with me, in Africa, they do no longer believe it's going to the battlefield to be fighting over what you have called it. They now believe that is the electoral umpire that will announce the result. They are looking for ways to read them.
But don't you think the celebration ongoing in Dakar, for instance, is a huge check on any electoral malpractice that could have been done? Because they wouldn't know how they're going to get at them if these persons are disappointed over what they expect.
The celebration, as far as concerned, is immaterial now. Okay. I'm using Nigeria as a case study. Nigeria is also a large democracy in Africa. That's a country of 18 million people. If we are to divide Nigeria within our neighbor, we have. Do you know how many Senegal we have? How many Senegal we have in Nigeria? You know, these are not what will be. Senegal, Lagos can conveniently take care of Senegal. We are not talking of Kano. Therefore, let them not be carried away. What I need from them now is that total commitment to have the ability to monitor what they have done in terms of voting, to follow it down. Because voting, collation of results, they are all process. You vote, they are all process. Therefore, you have to follow those processes until they get to the final destination, until it's being announced by the Electoral Commission. Any dancing, any cow you are eating, any meat, anything you are drinking, is immaterial. Using Nigeria as a case study, therefore you also need to get it right. Okay. Because democracy, as it's evolving, people are evolving. Those who are corrupt are also evolving. Corruption is not taken to that level of sophistication. whereby you are waiting for somebody to send some taps to the field to come and fight you over, take your ballot box. No. Africa have got to that level that they don't need to worry you. They are looking at dealing with few individuals who can move from one region to another. As the time they are going, the numbers of results collated so far will be on the increase. As have been demonstrated over the years, it's a part of Africa. Therefore, they cannot also be sleeping now and be dancing on the streets. They must wake up to their responsibility. They must move now to defend the election so far, because what happened in Senegal have been a carrot corn on all of us in Africa. The way and manner the people, the Senegalese, the way and manner, they have demonstrated uncommon courage to say we believe in our country. When a single individual was trying to usurp the collective will of the people resisted it. I expect that this is not time for celebration. It is over, it is over. Because that celebration might also be a gimmick. By the time they can use that as a gimmick, or a shenanigans, you know, to focus their attention. Before you know it, another thing will be happening. That's the reason why I'm very bothered about the other dancing and celebration.
Okay.
They must follow the process to the entire end. That is my own concern about it. Because
right, let's see,
in Africa, anything can happen. Because our institutions is not as strong as that. Despite that, at least a unit of the institution in Senegal was able to demonstrate that, especially the judiciary.
Right.
We don't know how the Electoral Commission will do in Senegal.
Okay, let's see your perspective in that regard,
Yes.
because a whole lot has been of the fact that where there's been some decorum to some extent, but he doesn't seem to agree, you know, hook, line, and sinker in that regard. Do you also share in his opinion?
Yes, my co-discussant, I would have interjected, but he kept on saying, using Nigeria as a case study. So I became relaxed a bit.
Or you became perplexed?
Because...
Were you perplexed?
In a way. Because Nigeria situation is not in a way close to that of Senegal. Senegal has a better democratic process than that of Nigeria.
What makes you say so?
Yes, because if you go down history, Senegal, you saw the way the citizens rose up about the intending third term of the president. We saw what the people also did. They were demonstrating, if you don't mind, they rioted that the election should hold on the 25th of February, last month.
That isn't different from Nigerians' reactions?
Nigerians will not behave like that.
Really?
If the president says election will hold next month.
That could be your very low expectation of Nigerians.
Not this
I
month.
believe that Nigerians would also act that same way.
Docile when it gets to something like that. Say, I don't want that, I beg. Anytime they're ready, go do them. But those ones knew that should be a kind of a wake-up call for them.
But if Nigerians are docile in that fashion, you could also remember vividly in the time of former President Olusegun Obasanjo, we also had issues about where rumors were on the streets, of course, as regards elongating the constitutional limit. But basically, the school of thoughts shared by Nigerians made it not to happen.
By some Nigerians. Because that didn't come to the public. We only read or heard from the media. It didn't get back to the public for us to decide otherwise or not.
But it has never happened.
No, yeah. So that of Senegal is going to be different. For your friend, that lady, presidential candidate. So to felicitate with fire, that goes a long way to show to us and to the entire Senegal that they have an idea of who's going to win finally. So let's not forget, as we saw in Nigeria, they had their own persons at each polling unit. 15,633 polling units. They had their own people. So they had their own results. But you just have to wait for the electoral umpire to declare it, the winner or the loser as the case may be. So they have an idea already. Otherwise, she would have gone so public to congratulate Faye. There were 5 like that. She would make him 50%. So they have an idea already. And you won't expect a large majority of the Senegalese to go to the streets to start demonstrating, and they don't have an idea of the direction of the results. They have. That they are demonstrating, or sorry, they are jubilating on the streets is a clear indication that they were well informed. It's an informed society. They are well informed. They know the direction Nigeria's situation cannot play out there. They can't. So the kind of situation they have found themselves in Senegal is...
So what you're saying is that it's impossible to obtain the results at this level.
The president cannot.
Okay, so you see this celebration, the level at which they are in, as a huge check against such electoral
Because for
malpractice.
the first time, a Senegalese president will not be involved in an election. This is their fifth presidential election. So if you watch the trend, it's right from that of Nigeria. If he had his way as he wanted to, he incarcerated some of them, but a time came, it was twisted to release them so that they could contest by themselves. So he tried by all means to ensure that they did not contest, because he knew of the public acceptance of these personalities. Okay. He wanted to, as they will do it in Nigeria, that is under house arrest. He did it, it failed. So he had to hands off.
Okay.
So the direction of the winning is clear to a lot of us now, that I believe that nothing can change it. The Nigerian factor cannot affect that.
Let's look at the candidacy of the only woman that among the 6 that were aspirants, she was the only woman that pulled as a candidate in this election. Roy, let's look at gender parity. It has been a huge challenge, you know, in terms of in elections, and of course in making sure that women also count in political appointments and offices. What do you make of this turnout for Anta Ungom?
To me, I personally pick interest in her when I discovered that she was the only woman who was able to come as a candidate.
And you loved her for that?
You know, yes, I love her
like
because as a woman, you know, my mother is a woman, and my wife is also a woman. Therefore, I also have daughters who will also be. Therefore, I pick interest in her. Yeah. I was following her activities, you know, and I saw what she was able to demonstrate during the electoral campaign. One of my greatest hope is that, can this gender support the agenda? Because I look at the population, I look at it, I said, well, the female, they are doing well in terms of number. I said, can they just look at it and say, oh, we have only our agenda, let all of us rally around. But I said, no. That also tells me the sophistication of the electorate in Senegal. That they were not carried away because she's a fellow woman, not all of us rally around her. They were not carried away by the principle of it's our turn. They were not carried away to that it's my life ambition that I must be there at all costs. But they were looking at what do you have on the table for us.
But apart from that, in elections in Africa, has women really come out in their numbers to support women? They seem to be the enemies of themselves.
You cannot just say that, because there are many factors that also hampers and prevent women not to do well politically in Africa. Oh, yes, you yourself now is going to take the grace of God for if your wife is a politician to be in meeting 1 a.m. for you, you know, it's going to take the grace of God for you to give her that kind of permission.
Do you see that as an African mentality?
It's not only an African mentality.
In developed politics, anything can happen.
No, in reality today, whether you like it or not, there is propensity for the men to oppress the women. They deliberately fit meetings on holy hours, so that this woman will say, I will not come.
Are you talking about global politics or restricted
Africa?
To African
I'm using Africa as a case study.
Or Nigeria?
No, I don't want to even say Nigeria. In Africa, you know, they deliberately restrict meetings to middle of the night and see they are going to cover. All are calculated.
That could be the only time that they will be free.
These are calculated
to interrogate with the issues on the table.
These are calculated.
Because in the course of the day, they are busy implementing policies. They are busy, you know, being in charge of the affairs of the citizenry. But as citizens now sleep, they now see that as an opportunity to quickly dust the tables.
No,
tackle issues.
These are deliberate policy from them to undermine the women folk. You understand me? They just concoct that policy to say we are going to put meeting on holy hours. And you that I know, my friend here, we not also permit the wife to want to go out for meeting on 1 a.m.
What makes you not?
Now there are issues you need to consider. Even if you permit, some of these women also have toddlers at home. Like this, my friend Anta Ungom had a toddler at home. How do you expect that in the middle of the night? What will not happen? You leave your children in the middle of the night. Who's not going to be there for them? These are issues. And I presented a paper in one of those and addressing the women when they celebrate one of the other. And I ask them, if you want to be more relevant in Africa politics today, one of those things you have to demand for, tell political parties not to give women, not to restrict women. You cannot just give an office to say you are the women leader. Do they have man leader in the office? Do they have man leader? I say no. Why do they not say a woman leader that you want to take it? Why will you people continue to accept that restriction? I said, why would they not stand up and say they have Ministry of Women Affairs and you people are celebrating it? What kind of arrangement is that? Do they have Ministry for Men Affairs? I said, these are direct policies from those in government to prevent you from getting to top. And that's the issue. Women in Africa, they're not doing well in position and authority.
But don't forget, that could also be a way of encouraging a close in the gap in gender parity.
What kind of a close way is that?
No, you say Ministry for Women Affairs, for instance, appointment being given to women, for instance, it's a show of encouraging gender equality.
It's an open competition.
Oh.
It's an open competition. I see no reason why you should be restricted. As I'm talking to you now, the school, I'm a product of University of Benin. The vice chancellor, as I'm speaking today, is a woman. Is she not doing well? These are the issues we need to ask. If the woman did not say, I want to be a vice chancellor, did not work for it, she will not become a vice chancellor. By the time she's not looking to want to head the office of a women vice chancellor, which is not available in the university, will she be there? These are the issues. Women must be able to say, no, don't restrict us, don't limit us. Let it be an open space. Why are you not? We are contesting election. In the state, no donor. They are saying women come and pay a session of it for free. Why will it be free? Why? Because there is already a disadvantage. There are things people give me. I say, I don't need it. Why are you giving it to me? You cannot just look at me when you know I'm not a cripple. You say, well, come and take a walking, come and take a this. This is enough for me. You know, with due respect to those who need this, you give it to them. By the time there is a restriction, a deliberate restriction to prevent women not to access power. Okay. And in Africa, you see them celebrating it. One woman will be sitting and saying, I'm the woman leader. Okay. And I keep on telling them until you free yourself from those bodies. And that is what is happening to Africa. Despite the qualification of this young man in Senegal, this young woman in Senegal, despite her vibrancy, the women never took us. The youngest, one of the young guys picked there, who I monitor her from Al Jazeera. And I had to go back to her Facebook. I was able to trace her to her Facebook to know what are the 21 years old girl. I said, this is a first-time voter. And I said, don't you see a lady who is contesting? He said, no, this election is not between, it's not about
gender, it's not gender-based.
It's about the level of unemployment. He said, I want to work. I need a job. I need somebody who can give me a job. And I said, why? He said, I saw that characteristics in this man, Faye.
Okay.
He said that is the reason why we are rooting. And these are some of the inspiration we need to get in Africa. And these are things that make us to say, for women to excel in politics,
all right, thank you.
That just supposed not be.
Thank you. Let's quickly get your reaction over that and your expectations for the people of Senegal as the results are being, will be announced tomorrow provisionally.
Yes, the jubilation has started. All the drums have been rolled out. All the dancing steps have been mastered, of course, earlier rehearsed. And the expectations they are having have not been cut short. And they are very happy that Faye becomes the president of Senegal.
Okay. Well, let's get your expectations as we look at what is coming up by tomorrow.
What we have now with the record,
you don't believe there will be a runoff?
With the report, if he can score, if Faye can get over 50% of the vote, there's not going to be a runoff. If he can go as the constitution postulated there.
But don't forget, you said that anything can still happen.
That's what I'm saying. Anything can happen.
And you are not ruling out manipulation, possible manipulation.
Because population can be here, not here. They can't see manipulate for Faye.
Okay. You don't also rule out litigation.
Litigation will fall because I believe in the judicial system. They have demonstrated I have serious faith and hope in Senegal judiciary because they have been able to give me that confidence. Therefore, I hold them tenaciously to that. And with the records we are getting now with the reports, I am convinced that Senegal are going to elect a new president. And that new president must be policy oriented. He should be able to drive the process. He should be able to create an avenue for those youths who are looking for jobs to get jobs.
Are you campaigning for Faye as well?
Okay. So Honorable Frank, do you see a fifth president that will be an offshoot from the main party? Or you see something different?
No, it can't be from the main party. It's an opposition party, major opposition party. And from what he has done, I should have done that much earlier to campaign for him. But now that he has won, we'll join hands together and celebrate with them for a better Senegal.
Yeah.
Thank you, Honorable Frank Amigo. Big thanks to you, Royal Oliver. A whole lot has been said. The stage is ready, and the votes have been cast, and we expect that the results will be churning out from the various bureaus, and by tomorrow, 26th March, we expect that there will be provisional results, of course, announcement of who the 5th president is, or president-elect in Senegal. I am Philip from More Viewpoint. We do this same time next week.